What's up, Tiger fans? It's Morgan here with the Morgan Thomas Show. Today, I wanted to discuss the anticipated coaching changes for the Clemson Tigers football team. Before we get into that, make sure you like this video and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the notification button so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive Clemson content we put out every single week. And don't forget to follow me over on Twitter at the Morgan T Show. All right, so Clemson is undergoing a lot of coaching changes right now. I never thought that they would have to be dealing with an offensive coordinator changing, a defensive coordinator changing, and an athletic director changing all in the same offseason, in the same month, really. And a lot of people originally came out and said, Morgan, I think that Clemson needs to go outside and look for the big splash hire. And I understand the desire to do that. And I understand that it would be good to interview people that you feel like should be or could be a good replacement for Brent Venables and Tony Elliott. However, I also understand that Dabo Swinney is not necessarily in a position where he's looking to completely change his offensive or defensive identity. Now, most people would say, oh, for sure, you don't want to change the defensive identity. You want to do exactly what Brent Venables did or something similar and maybe a few additional tweaks or thumbprints on there that would be different for the new defensive coordinator. And so a lot of people are more okay with going with a internal hire for defense than they are for offense. And I can understand that. So for defense, what's anticipated or the expected changes, at least for the bowl game, we don't know permanently, but I will go ahead and say my opinion is it's permanent. I don't think Dabo is making these changes as a temporary solution for just the bowl game. But I believe that Wesley Goodwin, I did a video on him. He is going to be up in the box. He's going to be your Moneyball, your Eric Spoelstra, your guy that knows the plays, 3 plays before they happen guy that's already been there and been showing success. He's going to now be playing a bigger role and even doing recruiting as well. So you got Wes Godwin, or Goodwin, excuse me. I keep saying Godwin, but Wes Goodwin. And then you've got Mickey Khan, who I know a lot of people aren't necessarily the most happy with because he is Dabo's former roommate and, one of those things where he's promoting a friend. But I think it's a lot more than that. Obviously, Mickey Khan has shown that he can have success as a coach at the high school level at one of the bigger high schools in the country. And so I feel like that he is also shown that he can recruit well, at least in recent memory. He has helped pull in Andrew Makuba and RJ Mickens, who are both safeties that have been performing extremely well. So I think both of those combined, Mickey Khan being on the field and Goodwin being up in the box, will be a good 1-2 punch. Now, me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Mike Reed in that position on the field, but I don't really know the internal workings of the team. Maybe Reed did not want that at all. I'm not sure. Maybe he is too valuable as a position coach because, as you know, he has been doing very well, extremely well at position coach of cornerback. So putting many guys up into the NFL, and AJ Terrell's doing great. We anticipate that Andrew Booth Jr. is going to be up there and doing great as well. So again, I don't think on defense it's going to hurt that in that decision. Now for recruiting, on the recruiting trail, we'll see. We don't really know how good Goodwin is going to be in recruiting. Only time will tell for there. I know that if they continue with the success that they have on the field, then that will fix any kind of worry that you have. Now, on the offensive side, same thing. There's a little bit more to quote unquote fix on the offensive side. A lot, in my opinion, has to do with the players that are on the field and not the scheme or the identity that has been developed. And so a lot of people are confusing poor play on the field that it comes directly from and only from the offensive scheme and playbook. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that there are plenty of times where there are bad plays that have been called, plays that have scratched my head. I mean, made me scratch my head. And I'm like, what? Why did you do that? But as I've also mentioned on social media, I've gone to 3 games this year. I saw it in person. It's very different watching it in person than just having RG3 types feed you what they think you want to hear. When you watch it in person and you don't have someone feeding you something and you're actually witnessing it, you kind of, in my opinion, felt bad for Tony Elliott because there were plenty of plays that were really good plays that were completely botched. Or there were plenty of passes that were really good routes that were designed and the ball was completely overthrown. There were plenty of good passes to good open receivers that were dropped. And there were plenty of times, not only did DJ wait too long, but also the offensive line give no time at all. So there's so many things going on. I left a few of those games. Really, I left all of the Clemson games with outside of the Wake Forest game, I guess, saying to myself, how really can you coordinate this? I mean, it would be difficult because if one thing doesn't go wrong, the next thing goes wrong. It would be extremely difficult for anyone to coordinate what the Clemson offense was last year um, and overcome that. So I don't necessarily completely blame him altogether, but I can understand those people who say, hey, you need to go and look for an outside hire. They need to get new blood. They need to get new ideas. Now, from what we're hearing from the message boards and from the sites that I read and follow, it looks like that your offensive coordinator is going to be Brandon Streeter. I tweeted this, and it's a love-hate with him. I don't think anybody's going to 100% like you. If they 100% like you, you're probably not doing something right. But I will say that it looks like Brandon Streeter is going to be your offensive coordinator. It looks like that Kyle Richardson is going to become a position coach of some sort. I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming he would take over for tight end. A lot of people don't understand or know anything about Brandon Streeter or Kyle Richardson. They say, oh, well, that one time he filled in when Tony Elliott had COVID. It was a horrible experiment, and it was a disaster, and I never want to see Brandon Streeter again. And I say to you, that's not fair. I also say to those people who say, well, he was a terrible and not a very successful quarterback himself. Well, I mean, it doesn't take an elite quarterback to be a great coach. Elite quarterbacks don't become coaches typically. Elite quarterbacks stay elite quarterbacks, retire elite quarterbacks, and then go work for ESPN on Monday night talking with their brother. That's what elite quarterbacks do, right? Brandon Streeter, I think, has shown that he has had success in on other teams and in other conferences. He's coached at Richmond. He's coached at Liberty, and he has accolades that are really good on the offense. He's had top in the nation offenses at Richmond and Liberty. He's broken tons of records at both of those universities as offensive coordinator, and they've actually won their conference while he was the offensive coordinator as well. So, and it's not just like 1 year. I know a lot of people say, "Well, I want to see Joe Brady." I'm not saying Joe Brady is bad, but you really have a few years as an assistant in the NFL under Drew Brees. I mean, come on, that's pretty easy. You have 1 year at LSU, 1 year where you had someone help you, and also you had Joe Burrow and a ton of other top level NFL talent there. I don't know if I can give him all the credit. Now I can't beat him up for Carolina. It seems like the first year he was okay. The second year, when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, he was completely predictable, and then he got fired. Now, there were some arguments between the two coaches, and Matt Rule was getting ready to get fired. A lot of people feel like he was just the scapegoat. I know, I get it, but in my opinion, it goes back to the type of person Dabo Swinney is. Now, you'll say, oh, well, he only promotes people that he knows. Well, that's a good thing, because you want to promote people that are loyal to you, that you can trust, and that you can send out on their own to not, Lincoln Riley you and recruit people to another university while you're still wearing your university's colors. You don't want that, right? You want loyalty, you want commitment, you want somebody that you can trust on their own and not have to, sit there and go on every single plane ride with them while they're out recruiting in people's houses, right? For your university. I also say, going back to what I said before, I don't think that Dabo Swinney is looking for a complete revamp of the offense or defense. And I think you give the same respect to the defense that you did to the offense. Yes, this year was not successful in many accounts, but I don't think that he wants to completely revamp the offense. And in that case, you don't go out and get a brand new hire that nobody's heard of, or it's somebody from a different university that does something completely different, or somebody that's going to cause people that you like and trust to leave. I think that the the system has been built, the identity is there, and then you try to promote from within. Other teams promote from within. Now, other teams don't have to typically deal with, as much turnover as they've had right now, but other teams deal with turnover a lot more frequently than Clemson has, and so it's give and take on both sides. I will say that I think that Brandon Streeter deserves a shot. We'll see what he can do, and it all goes back to, well, we need new ideas. We don't need the same old same. And I don't think that Brandon Streeter wants to be the same old same either. If I was him, if you were him, you wouldn't want to do the same old same. You would want to try to put your own stamp on it, right? I think that he will do that. And when I go back and look at the teams that I've led in the military or sales or tech support or whatever it may be, those teams, we always had a standard or an identity or a code of conduct or standard operating procedures that we followed, right? More so in the military, we had to do it a certain way. But even in those situations, those 15 people on my team, if I tapped any one of them to lead the team for a week, they would be completely different than the next person, even though we're on the same team and in many cases wearing the same uniform and told and instructed the same exact things. Salespeople do things completely different. Customer service people have their own tweak on it, their own stamp on it. Same thing with coaches. They have their own identity. They have their own thumbprint. They have their own stamp of approval, standard operating procedures of way they're going to do things. They have their own tweaks that they can do. So I'm saying all this not because I'm a Dabo homer and I'm trying to sell you on his idea. I've just come to the realization that this seems to be what is going to happen. And anybody who thinks differently, I mean, you can do that, but we need to kind of admit that this seems to be what is going to happen from things that I'm reading, from the way the coach seems to be, from what I know about Dabo Swinney. This seems to be what is going to be the next step for the offense and the defense. A lot of unknowns there, but still an opportunity. Look back at when William Christopher was hired. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't one of those people that thought, wow, this is the next guy. Now, my dad actually was one of those guys. My dad was like, hey, Dabo is a legit recruiter. And if anything, he's going to bring in a ton of really good talent. Guess what happened? He did just that. Help was on the way. Help came on the way. Now, the big question is, will Dabo Swinney be able to survive through this change? I think so. But will he be able to revamp his offense and defense, change out the staff? I'll take that back. Not revamp, but will he be able to change out the staff and have the same success or better success than he did before? Can you really doubt him at this point? As much and as far as he's gone, I don't think so. So that's the check-in on the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the coaching staff situation as it is right now. Let me know in the comments what you think. I know it is a very controversial and divisive topic about who should be the next coaches at Clemson. And, as I say on the radio, it's Dabo Swinney's house, and we are just driving through on the way to work. So he's in charge for now. Let him do his work. Let's see how it all works out. And as Pigskin Pete said on his channel and on his social media, it kind of excites me to see what Dabo Swinney can do, because at the end of the day, this is where the greatest coaches show their worth and what they can do. Dabo says it about players. You don't get adversity when you lose the very last game of the season, and that's all you lose. And you just start over a new semester, a new spring, and everything's fresh. You get adversity when you lose the fourth game of the season, when you lose the first game of the season. That's when you get adversity. That's when you have to flip things around. You get adversity when you have a ton of people going in the portal and recruiting doesn't seem to be hitting. you get adversity when you have offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and athletic director leaving, and then you have to restaff and hope that what you have done and what you have planned will come together and will continue to stay. Dabo is the glue, right? That keeps it all together. So we have to hope that new parts and pieces can still adhere to that and be successful. But again, let me know in the comments, because I'm not saying that you can't have your own opinion. I definitely don't want to do that. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, Richardson, Streeter, Goodwin. Yeah, just let me know what you think and your thoughts on it, and who do you think maybe they should go after or not. Another thing I'll say about Kyle Richardson before we leave is I read a quote, an article about him. It says that he has been a Clemson fan forever. He's a former head coach at Northwestern a few years back, 2 state titles. This is the guy that will potentially be moving into the tight end coaching position and maybe even helping call plays. But he's got a picture of him when he was 6 years old wearing orange overalls. Now, again, that's the kind of guy that you want to be a part of your program, because it's no different than having me on the program, because I have the same types of photos when I was a kid, and I have things from 1987 as a Tiger fan that my grandparents kept for me. So Dabo Swinney is building a group of people that he can trust and are loyal not only to him but to the university, and let's see what happens. But don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And hey, why don't you check us out and join us every Thursday night, 7 p.m. over on the radio or live right here on YouTube.